What's going on? It's Pam here, and I'm back in the studio. I'm finally back recording, and I'm so excited. It is October, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So, today I have a very special friend and guest on to talk about her journey with her BCRA1 diagnosis and her double mastectomy and her medical menopause and all of the things, the girly stuff and the prevention and the lifestyle and things that she's gone through. She's not a physician, but she's here to tell her real life story and the journey that she's gone through. So I hope that you enjoy the episode. If you like it, or you can relate, or somebody you know could like it as well, go ahead and share it, like it, comment, all the things. Enjoy the episode. All right, we're recording. What is up, everybody? It is Pam here, and I have my special friend with me. She's probably over on this side if you guys are watching the YouTube. This is my friend Andrea Williams.
Hi, everybody.
So today, it is October right now, October 2023, recording this, and October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I haven't done a podcast in a couple of months for a number of reasons. I told her before we got on, that's kind of irrelevant, but I really wanted to get on and talk with Andrea a long time ago. But I thought October would be the perfect month to talk about some of the things that she's very passionate about. So again, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I think that every single one of us have been affected by cancer, specifically breast cancer. I think whether it's a friend, a family member, or yourself. And I think that right now I really want to talk about Andrea's story. She has a kind of a unique story when it comes to her passion behind breast cancer awareness and her own journey. And also, I think that it's not as unique as some of us think. So I would love to kind of leave this floor to Andrea. I do want to mention that Andrea and I have been grade school friends. So we've been friends forever and ever. And through social media, we've got to kind of watch each other's lives grow. And we've always been into health and fitness at some level, which is really cool. Because before we get started here, too, we're in our 40s.
Ooh.
and and we were like doing the fitness stuff way before it was cool. So I just want to throw that out there.
Oh yeah, we're veterans.
We're like OG.
We are OG. I like that.
Yes.
I'm on that OG. We earned that OG.
We did, and I'm so proud. So anyway, Andrea, I'm going to leave this to you, and you can kind of just share whatever parts of your story that you want to share. You know, your family history and why you're passionate about the subject. Go ahead.
So, first of all, I want to say to all the women out there, I don't really feel like a warrior. I feel like the warriors are like my family members who have beaten cancer, or unfortunately maybe cancer won on that end of things. And also same for you. I feel like the women that actually go through the cancer, those are the warriors. But obviously I have a family situation where it is good to share, because there's a lot of knowledge I feel like that I can share with other women and families that have the same situation. So I'll start with my aunt, who was in her like later 30s. Like I think she was like 36 or 7 at the time. She was the first one to ever get diagnosed, and she got diagnosed with actually ovarian cancer, which we didn't think anything too huge of it. First family member. And then fast forward a handful of years later, and then my aunt, my mom's other sister, got diagnosed with breast cancer. So we're kind of like, okay, that's raising some flags. Like 2 sisters, 2 kinds of cancer.
Are they related? Are those cancers related? I don't know a lot about that. So
yeah, so there's a lot of genetic mutations that are out there, and they're still discovering more and more of mutations that are tied to a high risk of certain cancers. So that was kind of something that as soon as my OB found out that I had 2 aunts from my mom's side who had ovarian and breast, he immediately was like, your mom needs to get tested. You need to get tested.
Yeah.
And
How old were you at this time?
At that time, I was probably about 30.
Okay.
Yeah, it was probably about 30, because it's been over this is well over a decade. Actually, I was probably like 27, but anyways, so he was a great OB. I loved him for a million years. He was a big advocate in regards to that. And that was kind of like a new territory. I feel like there wasn't a lot of talk about like genetic testing and, because again, this was probably 14, 15 years ago now. Um, so unfortunately, I tried to get tested, even though I just had two aunts who were positive for cancer, and insurance wouldn't cover it. It was literally going to be like 3,000 out of pocket.
Mhm.
And at the time in my 20s, I just didn't have that kind of cash. So I let it be. Fast
Yeah.
forward, and then unfortunately another like handful of years go by, and my mom gets diagnosed with ovarian cancer.
Mhm.
And then that's when unfortunately that finally allowed where insurance would cover the cost of the genetic testing because it was my mom. And I
Right.
think things have come a long way. I want to put that out there that women don't get discouraged about your insurance because I think they've changed things a lot. And, from the when I originally first tried to get the genetic testing done 14, 15 years ago to today's date, I think now it's if even you just, you don't have to have an immediate family member. It can
Mhm.
someone a little, like it can be an aunt or something like that, and your insurance may cover the cost of it.
Like
Um,
all like they wanted you to get like all genetic testing, or were there specific things that they were testing for? I don't
so
know.
the panels are getting bigger and bigger. Like I almost kind of would be curious to see if I got tested now versus just when I got tested. So when I got tested, it was probably around 8 years ago now, about eight
Mhm.
years ago,
Mhm.
and I think they're adding more and more and more. But unfortunately, when I did get tested, I came back positive for BRCA1. BRCA1 is known for very high risk of ovarian and breast cancer within your lifetime.
Mhm.
Oh, and that's what my mom had. That's what my aunt had. And I think my other aunt did as well. I'm not sure, if she ended up getting tested or not. Again, she was kind of the first of
Yeah.
this. happen. So, and it can be a swab, like a
Mhm.
saliva swab. It can be a blood. They make it really, really easy. I'm just putting all this out there because I feel
Yeah.
like if anyone in your family out there, if you have, it could be anything. It doesn't have to be breast or ovarian. It can be any kind of cancer. One thing I call myself a hippie, but I do love
Mhm.
Western a sense in regards to some of this stuff. They're finding more and more of these mutations, so you can take these preventative steps and you can do things or do better things to try to prevent it from happening to you.
Yeah, and you got tested, and I will share that they wanted me to get tested for a lot of things because my sister had stage 4 breast cancer in her 30s, and and my insurance actually won't even cover it either. And that's my sister, and it was early 30s, so it's still insurance is always the hang up in everything. um, However,
Oh,
she got tested and she wasn't positive for the gene, and there's other people in my family that wasn't positive for the gene, so I think that might have played on their decision. However,
mm,
um, that that's still kind of out there. But I wanted to kind of say to ask. So when you got tested positive for that gene, which obviously is like, okay, what the heck? Because you watched your family members go through this. You hadn't started a family yet,
no,
and that's something that was really important to you.
yeah.
So that's something I want you to talk about just a little, if you want to kind of share that part of it. So, what did you do as the next steps for prevention, and then also to kind of make sure that you were able to at least try to start a family?
So it's very overwhelming. It's a very emotional thing to go through. I will say there's some really great resources out there for anyone ever ends up getting tested and they come back positive for a genetic mutation. They had great counselors. They were literally called genetic counselors.
Yeah.
I'm a person through some major hospitals locally. I had phone calls with them. So I just want to say that I was so grateful for them. But I instantly was like, I'm getting old. And I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and just in general, I was like, I want to make sure I can have kids just because my age, not alone, let alone the like mutation part of it.
Yeah.
So I instantly was like, I should freeze my eggs.
Yeah. That's
So,
technology. Yeah. Why not?
no,
Mhm.
I have mixed feelings about it,
Mhm.
but I did it. Lord was good. God was good to me. Luckily, I didn't even need to use those eggs. I could
Yeah.
have used them, but my husband has a very strong faith, and he was like, "Let's put it in God's hands, and and not go through any." Um,
Yeah. If you don't have to, just
yeah,
try. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So did that. So yeah, I went through that process, and I was nervous doing that because when you do any kind of fertilization type stuff, you're taking hormones. And so I was like, man, I'm kind of playing with fire. I have this gene mutation, and a high cancer risk, and now I'm going to put these hormones in me. So I was a little,
Yeah.
that's why I'm 50-50 about it. I kind of almost think I shouldn't have even done it, but can't change the past. And for whoever,
Well,
but I agree. Like there's a purpose for it out there.
and I think that, wherever anybody is on their journey, whether it's starting a family and they have these risks or they're older, because age is the only non modifiable risk factor that we have. We can modify every other risk factor for diseases at this point, but age is the only one we can't modify. We're gonna get old. The only guarantee, we're gonna die. Like that's
Yeah.
it, right? That's the only guarantee in life. But I think it's important for people to say, okay, this is where I'm at today. This is what I'm doing right now with the information that I have in front of me and with my emotions at play. Because like you said, that's a very emotional time and decision. Um, and there's so many factors that kind of go into it. So you're like, oh, I shouldn't have, but like you said, you already did, it's fine. But I think anybody in any of those situations, it's you always just have to say and find comfort and forgiveness or whatever, emotions are going through your heart and your mind. Like I did the best I could with the information that I had. And that's with any health journey, I think too.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to use the eggs that you froze and the hormones were okay. So you were blessed with children.
Yes. Yes. And before my babies, before I get
Mhm.
into these,
Yeah.
so I wasn't married at the time either. That's
Yeah.
another big thing that kind of like pushed me like, let me freeze my eggs. I'm not even
Yeah.
married. Like, I was, what, 30, ooh, I don't know, I was 33 or something at the time, 34 at the time. And but the next thing I knew, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I don't want to get cancer. Like they kept telling me, they're like my aunt, because the genetic counselors, my gynecological oncologist, the breast specialist, all these doctors I was seeing. I was like a walking doctor's appointment for a while. Um, and by the way, at the same time, my mom was fighting her ovarian cancer, so it was extremely stressful, emotional. Froze my eggs, and then cared for my mom. And when my mom passed away, I was like, luckily, I was kind of doing all the research and meeting with all these doctors and trying to weigh what decision I should make. So not too long after she had passed, I literally scheduled surgery, and I was like, because I had had a personal scare myself, and I was like, I don't
Mhm.
want to do this.
Yeah.
Um, and let me get into that personal scare really quick. So I was obviously like, even though I was in my like early mid, not even mid 30s, they were like, you need to start having mammograms, you need to do all the things. So boom, my first mammogram, pop, something popped.
Oh,
I did an ultrasound. Um, uh, they ended up having to do a biopsy. Luckily, it wasn't cancerous, but I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to do this every 6 months. Like,
right.
one, the radiation,
Yep.
like, the pros and cons,
Yeah.
6 months, every 6 months getting these exams. And if they find something, and then biopsies going, because a biopsy, you're going under. You're not like, you're fully getting sedated. It's not
Right.
like something you're awake for. I
Yeah.
was, I want to keep doing this. So I said, you know what?
And there's risks to that too,
Mhm.
and all that kind of stuff. Sure. Mhm.
Exactly, and that's another thing I'm gonna say a big advocate for is now I know a lot more about, different radiation and stuff like that, and I think if you have an option to get thermographing done versus,
Mhm.
mammograms, I think
Mhm.
women should look into that. I really think that
Yeah.
people look into that for not maybe a healthier alternative.
Yeah. Especially if you're getting them more often, like you said, that might be an option
Yeah.
for somebody to look at. Mhm.
So, luckily, I'd had all these doctors I'd met with, and I found a couple good ones, and I was like, "Let's get on the books and let's get these gone." And I was
So
like, "Just
you had a double mastectomy.
correct, yep,
Yeah.
with reconstruction."
Mhm.
Yeah, I sure
Yep.
did.
And I think I just remember a little bit talking with you and kind of just through a little bit of your emotions and kind of wondering like I don't know what I should do. That's a hard decision. It's a hard decision anyway. I think because I would say I was a little bit more then, and you were too, even a self-proclaimed kind of crunchy like person, and really trying to just, not oust any Western medicine at all because it clearly saves lives. And I work in the health field as well, and there's things that we're so grateful for. My sister wouldn't be alive if there wasn't Western medicine. But at the same time, you try to do everything in your power as best you can with the information that you have to do things as natural as possible. But were you were not ignorant to the fact that, you know, and this can happen to anybody. And I think that, just kind of just knowing just a little bit, the conversations like we had of understanding your emotions, that was a really big decision. And I just kind of wanted to throw that out there for anybody that watches this. I kind of have 50-50. I have some people that are really, could care less if anything's natural. And then I have a lot of friends and listeners and clients that really try to be kind of like that too and really stay on the natural side. And maybe they think that implants aren't the best thing for you. And there's pros and cons to that too. But I wanted to kind of throw that out there, how your personality was and how hard that decision was for you.
It was
So it wasn't like you were just like, oh yeah, this is easy, just do whatever. You're generally stressing out about every aspect.
Yeah. It was
Mhm.
rough. It was honestly probably, like, some of the darkest time of my life, like, not only, like, losing my mom, but then I was like, "What do I do with this information?" But and I honestly, you know, I hate that my cousin had to go through this, but, I kind of always a little bit question, like, "Did I do the right thing? Did I do the right thing?" Like, I
Sure.
work hard, I take care of myself, I do so much, like, maybe that BRCA gene won't win, and I yearned to be a mom, and I wanted to breastfeed my children so desperately.
Yeah.
But I had to weigh the pros and cons, and it was like, do I breastfeed my children and the rest the chance of getting cancer? Or, I still even questioned, even up until about 2 years ago, that did I do the right thing by having the bilateral mastectomy? And what really kind of put the nail in the coffin or whatever that I did the right thing was my cousin was 30 years old, my mom's sister's daughter, so again, all on my maternal side, my
Mhm.
poor cousin who lost her mom of ovarian cancer, the one that I spoke of that was the first family member to ever get cancer. She
Yeah.
got it, in her, mid late 30s, passed at like 39 of ovarian. Her daughter, 30, breast cancer.
Oh,
She went through chemo, bilateral, radiation, had a little one that was not even 2 at the time. Um,
wow.
and I was just like, "Oh my god," like, it gives me goosebumps right now, like,
Yeah.
literally,
Same. Same.
I'm like, "Oh my god," like, that could have been me, like,
Yeah.
I would have chose to have my babies, and I now knowing being a mom, knowing what crazy things pregnancy and postpartum and everything can do to your hormones, I'm like, "Holy crap," like, I literally have goosebumps so badly because I'm like, "I
So
totally
grateful.
did the right thing," because
Yeah.
I think there would have been a really good chance of me having one kid, maybe 2 kids, that it would have triggered something in my genetics and maybe had ovarian or breast cancer rear its ugly head.
Yeah. At least if not now, even like you said, down the road, it could have pushed that through. And I'm a big one to say, like, genetics load the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger. But there's always more to that. Where, like I said, I don't stand on the total natural health train hill all the time because you you literally can die on that hill. And that's a decision that some people decide that's better for them, whatever they're, whatever. Again, you have to play emotions in it too. But I just feel like people need to understand that genetics can play a bigger role than people think sometimes, because that's why I wanted to kind of bring up how your lifestyle was. It wasn't hard, it wasn't heavy. We've all had our fun when we were younger, but you take care of yourself, and you always have taken care of yourself for the most part. You've always been into exercise, paying attention to what goes in your body. You've done a competition, all that stuff. Not that that's extremely healthy, but at the same rate, like, you have always been into this, and you pay attention to what's in your home, and you're conscious of the stress level and all the things you're supposed to do. But that genetic, for whatever reason, gene for you is so strong. And again, it's unique in our small circle, but is it really? Because I'm sure there's a lot of other women that are going through exactly what you're going through, or kind of potentially kind of could.
Yeah, I connected with a lot of wonderful women. There are thousands of women who have BRCA1 or
Mhm.
BRCA2, these other various mutations
Yeah.
out nationwide, worldwide. There's a lot of great and I'm just mentioning this for any women who maybe are listening to this and need resources. There's some wonderful Facebook page groups. There's some wonderful programs through some of the local hospitals that have like a cancer genetic program.
Mhm.
I was really grateful to connect with some great, like women that went through the same thing who were kind of, I was able to lean on, and I don't think I would have been probably as positive and gotten through everything as if I wouldn't have had some of those women to connect with.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of why I wanted you to kind of get on and talk about this too, and just kind of bring awareness. So I guess we all know like kind of your lifestyle, and it's very similar to mine, and a lot of people that will even be interested in listening to this YouTube and podcast, they'll kind of be living that lifestyle as well, if not kind of interested to understand. But what would be some things that you've learned along the way that could help somebody in a prevention standpoint? Maybe like what kind of testing would you personally, you're not a doctor obviously, or anything like that, and of course they want to discuss those things with their physicians, but as a person who's gone through this journey, who's lived it, the emotional side of it, what would be like the first steps? And I'll add one more question on this so you can just talk, and what would you say when somebody says, I don't want to get those tests because I maybe either don't want to know, or I'm afraid of the radiation because let's say my insurance won't do the other one, or my doctor won't let me get any of the other tests.
So I'll try to,
Prevention.
yeah. As far as prevention goes, I will tell you this: I had a conversation with my cousin, that cousin
The
who was
same
30
cousin.
years old, same
Mhm.
cousin, that was 30 years old when she just went through hell and back, like she got to ring the bell, but like she's been through hell and back, um, and she's still on a bunch of like anti, hormone suppressants, and she's in like medical menopause herself and all that. But I had a conversation with her when she was around 25 years old, and I said,
Mhm.
hey, I said, I'm positive. My mom, we have your mom, our other aunt. I'm like, you might really want to get tested. No, no, no. I'm going to do it when I'm closer to 30 or like when I'm considering having children. So I just want to put that out there. Seriously, if you have any kind of family history of cancer or if you've had a cancer scare, if see if your insurance will cover it. You know what? Yes, it's a heavy, heavy result to get back, but if you don't know, then how are you going to do anything?
Right.
How are you maybe going to try to take any preventative steps? And when it comes to breast cancer, obviously you can start getting early, if you are positive for the gene, you can start getting insurance covered mammograms or maybe thermograms. I'm not really familiar with thermograms and insurance and how that goes. But the biggest thing too for me in regards to preventative that you can just do no matter what is just reduce stress.
Yeah.
Stress so cancer causing in general. So whatever you can do to reduce stress, and be it meditation, be it yoga, whatever reduces stress for you as a human being, that's big. And sleep, good quality
Mhm.
sleep. I feel like those are just big, big things in general. And I feel like just trying to reduce your toxin, your burden, what you have, like be it maybe, and you don't have to go crazy. I know it can be really expensive trying to do those things, but like reducing some of the toxic things that you have in your home or products that you use, be it skincare or cleaning products, things like that. So I don't know, maybe I'm kind of going off track. So let me know if there's
No,
something.
and exercise and all of the things.
Yes,
So
exercise,
I love what
healthy. Those
you.
those are like those I feel like are the basic 2 right there. Like you gotta exercise. You got to.
I actually love that you mentioned stress first because we live in this very high paced society. Obviously, it's the world we're in, and just as I tell my kids, like we were made for such a time as this. Like God knew I didn't want to go out and ride my horse somewhere. Like I'm good driving my car, but at the same rate, we live in this space. We have electronics. We have the jobs we have the life we have, but you do need to eliminate stress as you can, and to mitigate the effects of stress that it has on you. Um, and we forget about that because exercise is obvious. Everybody knows that you should be exercising. Not everybody does. That's why I still have a job. um, and everybody knows they should eat fruits and vegetables. There's a little confusion around nutrition, but you know what? That's all semantics. We all know fruits and vegetables are good for you. So you should eat them.
Yeah.
Drink water, all the things.
Oh, yeah.
Sleep is kind of like, yeah, but nobody thinks so much in the forefront of stress. And my favorite part about right this second is that you said that first, because that's something that we teach in my cardiac clinic to cardiac patients is stress management. It's a huge portion of our program. I say that my mom passed away of stress. She had all of these diagnoses to her name, all of them. And what did your mom die of? I'm like, she died of stress. Like the woman was never stress free, and you can watch somebody's health and life just deteriorate from stress. And I am a high stress individual. Like it's part of my personality. It's kind of who I am. So I have to do a lot to mitigate that. And I love that you said stress first because like you said, whatever it is, it's a toxic burden. Stress is a toxic burden of its own. And then if you're using on top of that, and everybody can kind of find what products are great for them, whether they want to bleach their hair and use a more natural home cleaner. That's, those are kind of like you pick your poison, right?
Yeah. Balance. It's all about
Yeah.
balance.
And we're not saying you're not saying like don't have a drink or, don't use your favorite lipstick if that's what's important to you. But take some things out that you can control.
Correct.
And that's going to reduce stress on your physical body, but then stress mentally, you mentioned kind of meditation and prayer and, all of those things that can kind of help deep breathing. Those things are scientifically proven like to reduce stress. So I love that you said stress first because it's easy for anybody, especially somebody as much as an exerciser and advocate of that you are, um, that you said stress first. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like also you have to balance that too, even with like the type of exercise, because I found, unfortunately, the hard way that
mhm.
working out, but then that can also cause the adrenal failure. And that's so hard on our body as well. So I feel like there's just so much that really just comes down to balance, balance, balance.
And
You
it's so individual. And I wanted to and I remember asking you like because I had my first mammogram in my 20s, I think, because my sister was so young with stage 4. I got my first one, and then I never had another one actually until like a few weeks ago. But they kept kind of telling me, get them, get them, get them. And I remember calling you or texting, I don't know, however we communicate. There's technology is great. Yeah, I love technology. Where I'm like, what do you think I should get? And you kind of mentioned all of them, but you're like, talk to your doctor, but this is the things that are available. So see what's best for you. Always a good answer. But you were still like, definitely get it, even though I'm 42 now, but still at the same rate, no matter if I can do all the other things, get the dang mammogram. You're like, just go. So I did. So that's kind of one of the things too, like just go, like you said, find the information and do
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
Um,
Free ones, there's places that offer free ones, so even if you don't have insurance and things that sort, like I said, there's a lot of avenues. Like, I was really shocked when I went through my journey in regards to, like, I even was able to get my hormones medication when I got, my eggs frozen. I was able to get that paid for
oh
because of my.
wow.
So, like I said, there's a lot of resources. You just have to. It takes work. It just does take work. There are some great resources to try to get those tests done.
And so real quick, so if somebody is kind of going through the journey that you're going through, or maybe they're nervous of what might happen if they find out that they do have the gene and they maybe were suggested get a double mastectomy, which is scary in itself, as a woman, and especially somebody that is, and it's not, I don't think it's vain to have some level of vanity. We all want to look nice. Like let's just so we can be very transparent here. Like we all like to look good. But you also had to go through medical menopause, and that's kind of a journey that you're going through right now, right? So you're kind of trying to balance things out. So how's that? And what was that like in the beginning, like maybe emotionally, but then even physically, like what have you had to go through for that,
Um,
and why?
oof.
Like why did they suggest
So,
that?
okay, so because of my BRCA1 genes,
Okay.
I'm extremely high for ovarian cancer. And
Hmm.
of course, and they said also with my aunt having it at such a young age and passing
Hmm.
39, they were like, you need to have a full hysterectomy with ovaries, the whole shebang by 40. And the reason I waited till 40 is because I knew I wanted to have kids. So I had a couple kids. 40 rolled
Thank
around.
you, Jesus. Thank you for
Yes,
the babies.
yes, I got 8 beautiful babies. So grateful, so grateful. Wanted to have another one. My husband put a kibosh on it, so I was like, "Okay, 40, let's get this done." But I knew, I mean, again, it was another thing. I was like, "Oh, am I doing the right thing? Is it the right time?" I knew it was gonna throw me right into medical menopause, and I was terrified because I was like, "Is it gonna turn me into a monster? Like, am I gonna become this horrible different person?" Because, like, I always instantly think with hormones, it affects your mood, your personality, your
Yeah,
sleep. It affects everything. Um,
stress.
yes, stress, everything. But I knew it was important because my mom having it, my aunt having it at such a young age. So I was like, I just
Yeah,
have to. So I did
yeah,
it, and I'm struggling with it a little bit. I'm navigating it, between some weight gain, not sleeping, hot flashes. I can handle hot flashes during the day, no big deal. But when it comes to middle of the night, I'm
yeah,
like drenched. My sheets are drenched. Like, it's
yeah,
sleep disruption again goes back to stress,
yeah.
sleep. I have young ones, little ones that also wake me up, so it's like it's a little rough right now, but I'm navigating it. Part of me is like, should I take hormone replacement? Should I not? There's a lot of controversy on that. And there's not a lot of solid data out there,
Mm.
especially with those with a gene mutation. Specifically, I can speak on BRCA1. So as of right now, I'm not taking any hormone replacement. I
You
actually
don't
went
have
to
to.
recently.
Okay, you don't have to take hormone replacement when you do that, like, you can simply just have surgery and then kind of go through, like, the menopause. They just say medical menopause because you push your body into menopause,
Correct.
basically, that's what they call
Correct.
that.
Yep.
You have to understand, like, myself and a lot of people that are listening will be completely, like, none of this stuff is in our vocabulary,
Yep.
so you have been engulfed in it, fortunately and unfortunately, and I always say pain to purpose because you get to share your story and be inspiring to other women, younger and older, even, that, you can look at your life and kind of see a positive spin but you've had some struggles, like you said, emotionally and all of that. But you don't have to take hormones when you go through that. So you can just go through it like a normal menopause kind of thing.
Nope. Yep, you can just you can
So if
just
you
cold turkey.
so if you saw a doctor, and they obviously would know you're menopause, it would be like kind of the same situation as somebody that's kind of perimenopause, menopausal. They would be talking to you with the same conversation is kind of what you're saying, like as far as like with the hormone replacement.
They honestly won't even I'm not gonna lie, I had to meet with quite a few doctors when I was looking into even just trying to get my hormone levels tested before I had my hysterectomy just because I wanted to get a baseline. I
Uh-huh.
asked 3 different doctors, I couldn't get anyone to test my baseline. Even my midwife who she specializes in hormone replacement, like, she doesn't even deliver babies, like, all she does is she specializes in menopause hormone replacement, and she wouldn't even test me for baseline for my
Interesting.
testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone. So,
Yes.
that was frustrating, another frustrating part, but I was like, again, I knew I needed to have the surgery, so I was like, "I'm just gonna do it anyways,"
Yeah.
but I had a baseline, and that's kinda disappointing, so just always reminder, be an advocate for yourself, find other doctors, get second and third opinions. That's another big thing about my whole journey is I just don't just take one opinion and roll with it.
Yeah.
But I have to just pray on this and weigh my thoughts and give myself peace of mind and am I once I maybe get to a point where I'm like if I'm like out of control because again it's been December will be a year of my
Mhm.
me. And maybe one day, maybe I will say, you know what, gosh, I really need some progesterone, or maybe I really
Yeah.
need. But right now,
You're
things
doing
are
okay.
going pretty good. Like I
That's
said,
awesome.
so I feel really grateful.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's my working out, if it's my diet, if it's a combination of both, if it's because it's only been less than a year. Like I said, maybe we'll have this talk 2 years from now, and I'll be like, I'm on
Yeah.
estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, and the
Yeah.
whole nine. But I will say it's tough to find doctors that are really willing to. I feel like they'll kind of if you have to come to them and be like, look, I'm having hot flashes, this, and this, and
Yeah.
you really push for them to give you those medications.
Yeah.
And then I have some doctors who are like, no, 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 because you're BRCA gene. So
Mm.
it's like they think it's too risky for me to even be on hormones at all. So that's why another reason why I was
Yeah.
like, let me just not do anything and kind of like
Until you have to kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I would probably be the same. I mean, there's nothing similar about our journey, but I believe I believe that I'm having a lot of perimenopausal symptoms. I've talked to you about that a little bit. Where some months I'm like I have really bad PMS, and some months I don't have any PMS, but then like when I start my cycle, it's just like crazy town physically. So I know as frustrating as it's very interesting for me too, because I'm like a geek on this kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, my progesterone must be high this month, and
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
I
But
feel for you, sister, because it's horrible. I will tell you, it's rough. It's really rough.
yeah, and I think that there's a little bit more conversation about it, but it's fun. It's not, I guess I wouldn't say it's fun, but to me it's kind of fun because I love this field, and I've always loved talking about things that I think other people maybe are kind of embarrassed to talk about. Especially, you are just 40 at a medical menopause, and there's a lot of people that are in the perimenopause, which again I think I am, and there's no diagnosis. There's no way for a doctor to diagnose you with that. That's why I think it's hard, and that's why you said it's so important to go to your doctor as an advocate for your health to say, I this sucks, man. Like my belly fat is not going away like it used to, or I'm having hot flashes, or I feel like, every, once a week or once a month I'm going to completely, cut the heads off of people because I can't stand myself, and that happens, and it's very real. And sometimes, I think as women, we try to keep it all together, and, we're moms and we're working moms, and we have these kind of standards for ourselves, but also we don't really talk about those things when they're so common, you know, of all this stuff, kind of what's going on. So, I think it's just important to talk about in general. Because I mean, we're not crazy. I mean, maybe we are
Oh,
crazy, but we're all crazy together.
yeah, thank goodness we have husbands that understand, but, like, when it rears its head, they can kinda understand, like, "We're women, this is hormone," and I'm like, "Hey, we had 2 little girls, so get ready, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
Get ready, because this is life," and that's why, like, and that's another thing I think it just keeps me positive on it is I'm gonna get through it no matter what,
Yeah.
without meds, even if I can't get rid of my middle of the night hot flashes, I'm gonna get through this, I'm gonna be okay, because millions and millions and millions of other women have went through it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I wanted to talk about too, like, I am not above taking things when I find out that that's going to help, and I think that's where you are as well. And again, like, people know, like, that I have come from a very crunchy place in my life where it was just too stressful to live like that, and there's a line there too, where you can be so stressed out about stress that you stress yourself out. It's kind of this weird space. You've probably been there.
Mhm.
Or you're so stressed out because you don't want to eat a certain ingredient. You know, I had to get over that real fast when I had kids because I'm like, this is no way to live either. Um, but it's important for people to know, like, you and I try our hardest. But we also want to live our life with a little bit less stress, but we are not above taking things medically if we need to when we deem appropriate.
Yeah.
Because again, we live in 2023, and I'm so grateful
Yeah,
that we are,
absolutely.
because those things are available to us.
100%. It's a balance. Yep, absolutely.
Mm,
Gotta try to navigate it and live our best lives for sure. And that
yeah,
might include, like you said, it might include a little bit of Western medicine. You
totally good.
know, a little bit. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can do other things that help you sleep well at night to know that you've done your exercise, your stress management, all of those things, and still use the things that maybe you would have been against in a different part of your life, and now you're like, whoa, hang on, I got a real big reason to live now, and to look at your family and say, what would I want them to do?
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. For
You
sure.
know, so, I won't make this any too much longer. Is there anything else that you want to share with everybody? And I am so glad that you came on and we did this because it's never convenient.
I know. Thanks for being patient. Like, we're doing this. We got to do it today. If we don't, I was like, I don't care if I don't have my makeup finished. It's okay. My husband's going to kick my butt because we're running late, but it's life, right?
Fine. Fine.
Oh, yeah. This is really important. Like I said, I just hope all women, just no matter what your struggle is, be it the menopause, be it a family member with cancer, be it yourself with cancer, like, just find your tribe, find people that are going through it that you can lean on. There are great groups out there. There's great support out there, and just take care of yourself, and just know that at the end of the day, there's rough days and there's better days, and just try to find the light. Try to find the light and the positivity, and the silver lining in no matter what gets thrown at you.
And eliminate stress as
Yeah.
much as you can. I love that. So, thank you so much for coming on. Andrea is not a lot on social media, but you can try to find her. If you do, good luck.
I'll share
But
this too.
you know what though? I think that has a lot to do with part of the management of her stress level as well, because she chooses to live her life in as much privacy as possible, and that's a huge respect, and that's another story, but that's also why my kids aren't online a lot. But at the same rate, if you guys have any questions or anything like that, you can comment below. If you guys are on YouTube here, you can message me. Everybody knows where to find me. And Andrea has agreed, even before this, was to jump on and help any questions, answer any questions, have this conversation again. Maybe we catch up, like you said, in a year, 2 years, whatever it is, or in 2 weeks or 2 months if people have questions, to talk about kind of where you are on your journey. So I so love you, and I appreciate you coming on and helping.
Love you too. Thank you for having me. Bye, everybody.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.